and gentlemen, coming to you live on Tuesday, April 10th, 2012. It is the FTW Podcast, the wrestling world in all its laughable glory. Here on episode 109, I am Harrison. With me, as always, is Jay to the Rizzo. Joe.
What is up, my bitches? I've got a nice stout sitting in my hands, crafted by our very own Kevin, who's not even here tonight.
But he's here in spirit.
Yep. And he's coming down my throat.
Rob.
Rob. That's awesome. Why do I do this every week?
I don't know. I really don't, man. You're a trooper. You're a real trooper. And Garvin.
One of us.
We'll convert you one of these days. And Garvin is manning the board. You want to say hi, buddy, or are you too busy?
I'm drinking a Red Thunder.
What the hell's a Red Thunder?
It's from down under.
Is it seriously?
No.
What the hell is a Red Thunder?
It's the Aldi brand Red Bull.
Oh, wow. So it's just sugar.
No, this is the sugar-free version.
Yeah, because, with the diabetes.
It's ground down vitamin B12.
Off-brand Red Bull. You are a brave soul.
Wow, I should be surprised that Aldi makes their own version of Red Bull, but for some reason I'm not.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's a good point, Rob. You know what? You know what's really sad? This is probably going to be the best live show we've done in a while, and no one's in here with us because SmackDown's live. And we knew this was going to happen, but we're going to do it anyway. We were talking about beer earlier. I learned what mulled beer was. Garvin's drinking off-brand Red Bull. I hope he survives to the end of the show. Man, this is going to be awesome, and no one's going to be here. Well, too bad for the fans. All right, if you're new to the show, check out ftwpodcast.com for more about us and how to get involved in tonight's show, as well as upcoming shows. You can reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, voicemail, text message, and email. We'll be bringing your comments in throughout the show. It's totally kick-ass and free for you. Tonight's live chat can be found at ftwpodcast.com/live. You can also email questions at ftwpodcast.com. And if you're on Twitter, use the hashtag FTWLive. And, we'll be bringing you in your comments and stuff. Speaking of which, we have a question for everybody. You can send us questions through our email, tweet us, or whatever. And you can, don't forget about Facebook, facebook.com/FTW podcast. So, Will, if everybody remembers, I want to say, a month and a half ago, he sent us in that question about Booker T, and Race and Garvin and I had a discussion that we tried to make sure it didn't get heated, but I think it did get heated. Anyway, Will is one of my favorite friends of the show, because whenever he writes in, it's cool to get a point of view that's so diametrically different from your own. But anyway, he sent this in saying, greetings, compulsive gamblers. No race betting today, although Mama Clay's segment was something. Totally agree with you. I'd like to talk about the Yes Man. Taking a step back, do you think DDB and Sheamus are being built to clash at a bigger stage, i.e. not curtain jerking, between the casual and smart archetypical wrestlers? I mean, what do you guys think about that? Do you think that Daniel Bryan and Sheamus is basically going to be the clash between the casual fan and the smart fan? Although I hate that word, smart. Because I can see where he's saying. I mean, he basically says that Triple H's workout buddy versus the indie darling 2 years in running. One had a silver spoon in his mouth with title reigns, big programs, but had to be totally terrified of the Nexus after slumping to a face turn. He's become the Cena type. Sheamus, super face, that kind of thing. And on the other hand, Bryan got dragged through NXT, kicked off Nexus, completely destroyed by Sheamus, who took his U.S. title last year, and then finally scrapes his way to the main event. The pair clash again, only to be blindsided by the big lights and atmosphere and lose his title at WrestleMania. So you got to think. I mean, do you think that's kind of what? Do you think that there's maybe an internal struggle in WWE creative, or do you think they're actually building this for that reason? Joe?
I don't know. I don't think that like they've had this thing planned where like, first Sheamus is going to take his U.S. title and then he's going to take his world title months down the line. I don't think they're planning that far ahead. And if they've thought of this storyline, I'm sure whoever came up with it was like fired subsequently. But I like the idea that Will's come up with here. I'm really interested to see, we saw it on SmackDown a little bit where Daniel Bryan was coming back after that WrestleMania
last week.
the Raw moment, where the crowd was just loving him and chanting yes, 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 and they actually had him come out after Raw. They had to have him turn it around on SmackDown, saying that they were mocking him and ridiculing him by doing that. But I could see them building something out of this. I would like to see these guys go back and forth a bit more.
Okay, Rob, you agree?
Yeah, I definitely like to see these guys go back and forth a bit more, and I don't think WWE is planning far enough ahead that they're really picking things. I mean, there might be something to Sheamus having an easier time of it because it's been well documented in WWE that if you make friends with Vince McMahon, make friends with Triple H or The Undertaker, your career goes much smoother.
Oh, yeah.
So there might be something on that end of it, but I don't think it's like any overt, plot.
You say that. I can see where you and Joe are kind of taking the cynical angle of, obviously, they haven't been building this for the last year, but face it, Miami did something. I mean, the thing about Miami on Raw and again on WrestleMania is those were all of us. They were the super fans. They were the guys who are on the internet that have been following Daniel Bryan since his indie days. These are guys who knew who he was because they paid the 12, I want to say that trip probably cost a lot of these people like $2,000 or more to be at WrestleMania for the flight to Miami, hotel, food, WrestleMania, and Raw. It had to at least cost $2,000. So you're getting the super fan, and they went balls crazy for Daniel Bryan. I mean, we talked about it last week. So the idea that going forward, WWE, like Will said, they have to do something with that. I mean, there's an energy there and something going on that they have to tap into. And they'd be silly not to. And it's not even the first time this has happened. Remember when Daniel Bryan had his whole fallout and he was in the Indies, and I was the one who said that there's no way in hell he was coming back and that it wasn't a work, and it kind of was. I mean, it seems like this guy just seems to attract fans like us, and the WWE needs to rally them around something, and this is a great way of doing that. So, I mean, Will, thanks for the tip, man. I mean, it was a really good point. It really crystallized a lot of things that are happening right now, and it'll be interesting to see going forward with this in mind, to see, if where this discussion leads, really going into Extreme Rules. I want to see what happens going into Extreme Rules between Sheamus and Daniel Bryan, because that's where it'll come to a head. All right, so, Rob, Impact happened. If you had to pick your favorite thing about Impact, and what would it be? And it better be what I think it better be, or I'm gonna be really mad.
Well, I would actually have a tie. I was a huge fan of Velvet Sky winning the Battle Royal type match. She ended up defeating Mickie James, Angelina Love, Tara, Madison Rayne, and Winter to become the number one contender for Gail Kim. So I like that they're continuing to push Velvet Sky. That looks like it's going to be a good match and could actually start pushing the Divas Knockouts division title forward in TNA. But just barely edging that out, the Motor City Machine Guns returned. And they beat the hell out of Mexican America. That's a good night in my book right there. I've been eager to see the Motor City Machine Guns return, and I loved every minute of it.
Okay, well, Rob, what about the AJ versus James Storm match? I mean, the whole super kick out of nowhere.
That was awesome. I mean, that has to be one of the best endings for a match that I've seen in a while. I mean, AJ Styles flips over, and lands on his feet just in time for James Storm to just kick him into the next area code. That was awesome. Those two put on a great match, and I love the storyline behind it. AJ Styles preparing James Storm for Lockdown. Very solid match. All in all, Impact came out pretty solid, except for the Kurt Angle match. And
which I've already, yeah. I'm really tired. It seems like Impact. I can see what Impact's doing. I mean, the count out is kind of a neat little plot device, but Does it seem like they're overusing it? Didn't they use it like last week, and then they use it again? They used it at pay-per-view recently.
They use it. They try to use it a lot of times. I mean, I can't count the number of times I've seen the heel give up like midway through and like, oh, you know what the hell with this? I don't want to fight anymore. It's a good. It can be a good device for a heel. It can be a good device for somebody like a Kurt Angle versus Jeff Hardy feud, where the heel doesn't think they have to fight. But they've been overusing it kind of, a lot.
It's like it's an easy go-to. But yeah, for me, Velvet Sky, awesome, totally awesome. But man, Motor City Machine Guns. I mean, it's like distilled excellence being put into a syrup, and put into an IV, and then they inject it directly into your veins. I'm almost upset that they broke up Beer Money because I want to see that again. But you know, it's still good. And Mexican America did a great job. But you know, as far as compelling
and what
stuff, I mean, it's just
and what surprised me the most is, you know, usually we talk all the time about like ring rust, missing a step or two. Motor City Machine Guns, I didn't see any evidence of that. I mean, they were clean, crisp. They still had their teamwork.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's like the guy. I mean, like you said, ring rust, and you don't want to say like, what, you know, didn't even lose a stride because it's over. But it is. These guys were perfect. They were perfect. Is the only way you can describe it. So yeah, good on them. Impact. This wasn't the go home Impact, but leading into later on, we're gonna be talking about Lockdown. How do you think it's doing? It's because we can't talk about Impact coming up, but how do you think it's doing leading up to Lockdown?
I think they're doing really good. I mean, we had Hogan continue the lockdown tradition of setting up the team match, the Survivor Series Lethal Lockdown match, Team Eric versus Team Bischoff versus Team Bischoff, but but at the same point in time, I like the setup behind it because the loser leaves. So we're either going to see Garrett Bischoff go away. We win
either way.
Right, or we're going to see Eric Bischoff go. We're going to be like I think Taz put it better than anybody. We're going to be one Bischoff down after Lockdown.
Yeah, one down, one to go. Okay, cool. All right, so leaving that, shifting gears to SmackDown. Joe, favorite thing about SmackDown?
Well, there are a few aspects I really liked. I liked Alberto Del Rio beating Sheamus by DQ. I like seeing Alberto Del Rio in the ring. I like even more Ricardo Rodriguez. I don't. There's something about him as a character, like just that role that he's playing is just awesome.
It is getting to the point where you're kind of going, I'm liking him a little bit more than ADR.
Oh, I am liking him. I've been saying that for a little while though. Like I like ADR. I like the character.
We get it, Joe. You're the original fan. You're the hipster. You're the one who liked him before it was cool. No, we get it. We get it.
I liked him before he was Mexicool. Sorry, I had to find some way to bring that phrase in. But I have a quota anyway. But no, I like the smarminess of Alberto Del Rio, and it's just amplified by Rodriguez, and it just works so well. Nikki Bella beating Beth Phoenix after Kelly interfered. I like seeing the Bellas get a push for some reason lately. Even though their contract is coming up.
Well, is it both of them? I thought one of them was okay.
No. I think they signed. I mean, I think together. I think it's a joint contract. I mean, really, do you really need? Do you only want one Bella? Daniel Bryan says no. But I think the standout thing for me was the return of Ryback. Be it the Silverback, be it Skip Sheffield, whatever you want to call him. It's cool to see him back, and a lot of people are saying it's going to be the next Goldberg.
Yeah, now we're going to be talking about. I mean, I'm going to talk about this on Raw and the Raw thing. Now you got Ryback coming back, and then you have Lord Tensai. Who do you think's doing better? I mean, I know Ryback's only had the one match, and Tensai's had two. So
I mean, Okay, Ryback's been plagued with injuries since. What was that?
Dawn of time.
Yeah, was it NXT? The first NXT season that he was in? It was either that or it was one of the last Tough Enoughs. Like,
no, I think it was Tough Enough. Before they
rebooted. I mean, they've had him around for a while.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
You know, I give props to Prince Albert leveling up to Lord Tensai, but you know, at least it's a royalty promotion, and his work's improved a great deal. I've seen YouTube videos, and it's cool to see them both. But I don't think they're going to run into each other.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, Ryback was last Tough Enough 2004. No, I'm saying as far as the appearances that came back, are you more impressed with Ryback or more impressed with Tensai?
I think right now I'm impressed with Ryback, but he's still getting the Brodus Clay treatment.
Well, okay. and they really haven't developed his character at all. You don't know, what the character is, and that's what we have to wait on because what his character was, I think, in FCW, and before that, with the Ryback name, was like this Terminator guy.
And you could see it on his tights. You could see that Terminator type, like the metallic thing in his, like, airbrushed into his tights.
Yeah, and it was a good gimmick, and it seems... I'm sorry, go on.
I was kind of looking to see, because to me it's kind of a bad gimmick. Because
really?
He comes from the future!
Well...
It's definitely like 80s.
It's 80s, but it has potential.
It possibly has potential. He's got more potential as a wrecking machine that Brodus Clay should have been.
Yeah.
The Lord Tensai thing, there's obviously a very specific aspect they're going with him. After he's done with his little feud with Yoshitatsu, I'm curious to see where they're going to go, because Yoshitatsu's on Twitter going, I'm really from Japan and you're not, and then, Tensai crushed him. So
at one point, literally.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Choke him with his back hair.
Yeah, I can't believe he's got to be shaved every day, probably, like some kind of gorilla. Anything else, or moving on?
Nah, let's move on.
All right, cool. So, Raw started out with an event that if you didn't see it, you wouldn't believe it. Basically, Brock comes out and does his little thing. Cena comes out and interrupts. They do like Cena comes out, smacks Brock in the face. Brock tackles him, gets one solid right hook in on Cena. Cena's mouth gushes blood. Then literally, shit hit the fan. Nobody knew what happened. Did Brock actually hit Cena? Was it legit? The entire back room empties, and for one crystallizing moment, there was a solid, holy fuck, what the hell did we just see? And then Raw tanked from there. You could tell, like, I just thought it was incredible, because once that happened, I mean, King and Cole had nothing, because they were like, oh shit. I mean, there was this moment of what just happened. Like, was it legit? And then, like, over the course of the show, you realize it was a bump, it was missing, it was just bleh. It was crap. In the chat saying Cena bleeding, always fun. Anyway, Charles Kress from PW Torch tweeted to us, one of the problems with Lesnar Cena is that it doesn't feel spontaneous. That's what made the Summer Punk so special. Imagine if there weren't rumors over WrestleMania weekend that they announced Lesnar hosting Raw and then had Cena brawl with him. It'd be newsworthy, which is true. I gotta be honest.
But you can't recreate, you can't expect everything to be Summer of Punk.
Yeah, but
that's what made that special. It was the thing that happened, and it was, like the people movement kind of thing going on. Like, that was huge. It was exciting, but not everything can. If they did it again with Brock in a similar fashion, nothing's going to have that spark. You can't if you try to do it again, then it just seems forced.
See, but here's the thing. It's what Daniel Bryan's going through right now, where it's this huge upswelling from the fans. I got to be honest. When Cena came back out and did his promo with laryngitis, I was like, okay, here's the thing. They can go two ways with this. They either continue the storyline where Cena's kind of upset and he's like, I'm going to put this right. Or Cena actually acts like Brock did it. Like he hit him. And he's just like, no, get the camera out of here. I'm talking to you right now. Or they keep talking about Cena coming out. And I just think it'd be great if you did see, like, if they played that. Because it was a moment, just an amazing moment that could have been a launching pad for something amazing. And all they had to do was play it like There are now cracks in the foundation. These two really don't like each other now. Cena was not supposed to slap Brock. It went too far. Brock popped Cena as a cheap shot during the promo, and now Cena's done. Like, they announced that they're doing the match, and then all of a sudden on SmackDown or later than the show, they just drop the fact that these two aren't a match anymore. I mean, you would get us incredibly interested in it, like you did with CM Punk, because we were like, holy crap, what's it going to do now?
Well, at this point, I think they're still trying to do something with it, but I think if they were to just go ahead, using your scenario, go ahead and drop the match, act like they're going to drop the match.
No, you can't do it now.
No, I know, but I was going to say, if they would have done it, I think that would have been one of the worst things they could have ever done.
What? What are you on, Joe?
No. He does it. Oh, are you saying just by pay-per-view buys because the casual fan won't tune in, or?
To me, it would be like, oh no, okay, we're not doing it. Like that would signify to me just bad things in the company.
Well, like the thing is that I think the idea of the company is trapped because they need to push Cena because he's the face of the company. They need to push Lesnar because they brought him back, and obviously they're paying him a decent amount of money to show up on screen. These are two people they have to have. And then if it, like that moment at the beginning of Raw could have been, oh wow, it could have been what they were trying to do with Rock versus Cena, where they're like, we don't like you. Well, I don't like you personally. It's like, yeah, all right. Here's a moment where they could have went, wow, they really could have done that. Like they really could have done it, and it would have been perfect. But yeah,
I'm with Harrison here. They had a moment where you could have Cena come out and continue to play the angle that Brock Lesnar actually punched him, that something broke down.
You don't even have to have Cena. Don't even have just have him interrupt something. Have him do like Cena and David Otunga. They're like, well, that's the thing for the match. He comes out. He's not even dressed for the ring, and he's like, no, I'm not even doing this. What Lesnar did was off. Punk came out here. He cut a shoot promo. I mean, Cena has no problem going off script, and he has no problem referencing the fact that he's doing a character, that he's cutting a shoot, whatever it is. I think they should have just scrapped Cena and Otunga, send Cena out there with the mic, and say, do what Punk did, and let's see where this goes.
Well, I think they should have scrapped it anyway because, God, the amount of baby oil that was left in that ring.
I mean,
it's Otunga.
I'll tell you what. I was not excited about Lesnar's return. I'm probably one of like the 5 people who's not excited about Lesnar returning. Lesnar was a subpar wrestler the first time he was in WWE. He's
NCAA champion.
Hang on, let me finish. He's a subpar MMA fighter, and now he's going to be a subpar wrestler in the WWE yet again. I got a lot more interested in Lesnar's return at the beginning, like Harrison was describing. When he came out and Cena slaps him and Lesnar just tackles him and just pops him in the face and bleeds. Everybody played their part perfectly. And Raw, to the point where even I'm sitting there, I'm like, was that supposed to happen?
Yeah.
Or did Cena just royally piss Lesnar off?
Exactly.
And Lesnar say, fuck you?
Exactly. Like when there's a moment when you're looking there and you're like, okay, there are people in the middle of the ring right now that I've never seen before. Not refs, not talent. These are backstage people that WWE, I'm willing to bet, won't admit exist. And then here they are in the middle of the ring holding these two apart. It's like, I mean, I was watching it with my wife, and she's like, well, who are those people? I'm like, I don't know, and that's what's so cool about it.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said,
that's
Cena,
the mid-card, Harrison.
and like
Harrison,
you said,
that was Alex Riley, is who you were looking at.
And Bill DeMott.
and like you said, Harrison, King and Cole played their roles perfectly. I mean, they had nothing to say.
Because you could tell it was that moment where when they saw Cena with blood in his face, you don't know what to do because you're like, we don't show blood. Was that a bump? Did Lesnar actually do it? I mean, I like the idea, like you were saying, Cena pissed off Lesnar. Lesnar does the thing because it seemed like, look, the whole once they hit ground and everything, and when I watched it in replay, I'm like, yeah, this isn't doing it for me because if there's one thing Lesnar knows how to do, it's how to ground and pound, and he did a shit job. So you could tell it was a missed punch. But the idea that maybe he sneaks one in there right in the beginning, he let his emotions get the better of him, and Cena's like, no, I'm the face of the company. I just carried Rock throughout this entire thing. Oh my God. I mean, that's just, I don't know.
You've got a perfect feud there. You have Cena getting fed up, like, no, you know what? I'm getting tired of carrying people, of making people look good, and having everybody shit on me for it. And you've got Lesnar, who's coming back, and I mean,
this right.
The WWE, in my opinion, missed a golden opportunity to make this feud epic.
And speaking of which, the only other thing that happened on Raw that's worth talking about, and I don't even really want to talk about it, but we got some feedback from the fans about this, is the WWE title match. Mark Henry beating CM Punk by DQ, basically Punk in with a monitor. But the idea is that Jericho and Punk is building towards Extreme Rules. They get the title off Punk and give it to Henry, and then what they do is they make the CM Punk Jericho thing, not about the title. That'd be cool just because Henry would have the title again. Ironically, the fan who sent this in said the only problem they have with that is giving the Henry the title again. But I am so done with Punk and Jericho. When you think about it, when Jericho came back, the first thing we were all talking about is that he was going to face CM Punk. And this entire time has been that feud in the background that they've been building towards. I'm tired of it. We're getting to the point that I'm pretty sure in a few months it's going to be as long as Rock Cena with less of a payoff. So I'm done. I'm done with that storyline. I do not care anymore. I know Garvin's hot on it, but I don't care.
Yeah, well, it's not that I'm hot on it.
You like it. You're the opposite.
Like it.
Opposing viewpoint for me.
I'm okay with the Jericho Punk storyline. It's different. It's not what I was expecting. Obviously, I think I was expecting what you wish it was, and it's not. But instead, I mean, the promos have definitely gotten better. I like the psychology of it. I don't think that the title needs to be on it because the title is being overshadowed by everything else they're doing. So the idea of giving Henry the title would be okay. It would be kind of last minute because if they do it, it would be whenever that rematch is. Is that tonight on SmackDown or is that next Monday?
Either way, it's within a week. I can see your point in that it is getting more interesting. My point is, why couldn't we have this before WrestleMania or, before Elimination Chamber? I mean, we had months of where these two just put it on cruise control, and now they're turning up the heat. It's like, I don't know. I'm tired of it. It's like, I don't want to see CM Punk versus Jericho Part 3 at Extreme Rules. It's like, I'm done. I'm just done on this.
I'm with Harrison on this one. The WWE. This is another spot where the WWE's missed a golden opportunity for an epic feud. They just they just waited too long to really turn up the heat, and it's just I don't personally find the prospect of Punk versus Jericho for title, not for title. I just don't find that anyway interesting at all anymore.
Yeah, it's just tired. Anyway, Rob, real quick, the chat wants to take a shot at you saying, didn't know that beating Randy Couture for the UFC heavyweight title made you subpar. Boom.
Yeah, who hasn't beaten Randy Couture for the UFC heavyweight title?
Right, I have not.
And
I haven't.
Okay, so we've got two people who haven't.
Kurt Angle?
Kurt Angle hasn't. I don't think. I don't think the Iceman has.
Ken Shamrock. I don't think he did either.
Yeah, Ken Shamrock hasn't.
Tank Abbott, baby. Tank Abbott.
The point is
Mark Henry.
the point is, out of people in UFC, Brock Lesnar always struck me from what UFC I watched. Brock Lesnar never seemed to have the respect of actual MMA fighters. He seemed to be like Kimbo Slice.
Well, no, because of where he's coming from. Obviously, no one was going to respect him.
Yeah, right. And then he comes in, and once when he starts talking all that shit, bringing.
Oh God, yeah, that was terrible.
I mean,
I think it was good for the talk.
Good for the UFC,
but it was not good for him as a sportsman.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And he did beat Randy Couture for the UFC belt. I'll give him props for that. But at the same point in time, how much money did Dana White spend to bring Brock Lesnar in? How much? What did Dana White have to do to make that investment pay off? And in the end, I don't think it did. Lesnar never really delivered to UFC what Dana White was hoping.
Yeah, but this is, we're talking about wrestling. Rob, you're done. You're done. You've had the floor. You're done. The only thing I want to see with Cena going in next week is that he wears an Alistair Overeem shirt.
But he's like the Boston Celtic now.
Yeah, what is up with that? Anyway, so, ladies and gentlemen, as a special treat for you, we talked about it last week. We have James Hornsby from Botchbot.com. He sat down with us, cut an awesome interview. We have a segment for you now that you'll be able to listen to. And then what we're going to do is we're going to throw the entire thing up on YouTube so you can listen to the whole thing. Fair warning, we talk about China's porno for a while. So be aware of that. Want to thank James for coming out. Botchspot.com. It's an awesome webcomic. I urge you to read it. It's fantastic. Throw it in your RSS feed. So check it out. All right, everybody. As a treat for our listeners, we have an interview with James from Botchspot.com. Say hello, James.
Hello.
All right, you do a webcomic a webcomic about wrestling. Now I gotta ask you, at what point did you decide you took a look at that Venn diagram and you said, yes, that's the niche I want to go after? What made you want to start that?
Well, it all started when I took a webcomics class at the Savannah College of Art and Design, and before that, I was never really interested in doing like any type of webcomic or even a comic strip. But for this class, we had to do something, and my teacher was really pressuring us to have like a comic that we could do. He was big on having an onlyness statement where you could say, well, I'm the only person who does this. So they thought, like, well, I like wrestling, and I don't think there are any wrestling webcomics out there, so that's something that I could do and kind of have, kind of be the only one, or at least only one that I knew of. So I wasn't even that serious about it at first. It wasn't until maybe 6 months in that I was really like, I could do this. And it turns out that there's a lot of, crossover fans between wrestling and or a lot of wrestling fans like comic books too.
That's because most wrestling fans who are really into it are living in their mother's basements. I joke, but for a while I was.
Joe. That doesn't help at all.
It is funny, actually. I thought it was funny when I was at, in art school, because I got a degree in sequential art, which is like comic books. And you'd think that comic book people would be very open to all aspects of nerddom and all those different subcultures, but everyone kind of looked down on wrestling. They're like, oh, it's fake, like that typical thing. So there's definitely some prejudice there.
Oh, that's sad. Although it does make sense. As a nerd, I know for a fact that we eat our own.
So let me ask you a question, James. Your main characters, at least it seemed like they're your main characters, and it looks like, you've done kind of split off at this point. You had Olaf and Rad Bad DeBone.
Yes.
Okay, Olaf. How many wrestlers are crammed into Olaf? I was only thinking 2, but then I keep looking at him and going, there's got to be more than that.
It's pretty much just any time I've heard a story about like a curmudgeon old wrestler who's, so bitter at the business and, he just keeps sticking at it no matter what. And because it's really all he's good at. So it wasn't anyone specific I had in mind. It was more just kind of like this archetype of the grizzled veteran.
Okay. See, I saw a lot of the chic in him in the early comics anyway.
Yeah, he's kind of like really bitter towards the early ones, then kind of mellowed. That wasn't planned or anything. Just kind of happened.
Okay, with that going, with those characters, when you look at the wrestling industry, you do satirize it. Is there any particular wrestler storyline or anything like that when it happens, you just like start salivating and going, yes, this will be perfect? Because I noticed that you don't really take the easy route, which I really love about your comic. Is there anything that really just like, it just, 90% of the noise out there is pretty much the easy route, and you take the road less traveled, and I appreciate that. But is there anything out there that when it hits, it just hits a chord in you, and you go, "Oh, that's perfect"? Like, what is your favorite wrestler and storyline to kind of satirize?
Well, it's definitely been the whole Be a Star anti-bullying campaign for WWE. It's not really a storyline. Well, it kind of works into their storylines because it's just so hypocritical of wrestling. I mean, that's what wrestling is these conflicts and people working out with their punches and kicks. And when that first happened in Linda McMahon's whole Senate campaign, where they're going to take all this like trashy stuff that they've done and all this, violent stuff and try and put a positive spin on it. I'm like, this is going to make for some great comics. I feel the happiest, with having Sheamus and Mark Henry talk about how it's okay for them to be different and then, beat the hell out of each other. That kind of stuff.
That's fair.
Yeah,
are you mad at all that Mark Henry is no longer sexual chocolate?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Wasn't really watching wrestling back then, but I don't know. I actually liked his monster heel run of the past, a few months ago, and I don't know where that went. He's definitely one of my favorite wrestlers to draw, though, because he's just like a big marshmallow.
He's Mr. Stay Puffed.
Pretty much. Yeah. In addition to that, anything with Vince McMahon or Triple H, anything, and I guess Triple H is kind of someone who it's tough for me to make fun of him too much because I know so many people hate him on the internet, but when something comes up about him saying something that sounds really, like he's putting down the current roster or something, I feel like I got to say something about that because I'm not a big fan of his, but that's just me.
Okay. Now, when you look at the wrestlers and storylines, obviously that you like, are there any that are off limits, like you will not touch?
A lot of times I'd say anything dealing with death, which sounds kind of obvious, but I distinctly remember like the night that Chris Benoit's thing went down, people making jokes about that on message boards and stuff. But that'd probably be the one big thing. Even like when Matt Hardy recently went on his suicide watch or whatever, where he kept posting videos about that. I kept thinking like, I can't do a comic about this because if he turns up dead, that's going to be, something like bad karma. Like, I did a comic about Umaga getting released over drug issues, and then he died like a year later. So the comic's still up there about his last Samoan Spike popping open a pill bottle. And it's just kind of sitting there awkwardly, and I still feel weird about it. So, but then, I still make fun of Evan Bourne having his drug suspensions too.
Okay. No, that's fair. It is part of the wrestling industry, and the idea that you can't exactly sweep it under the rug or turn it to a blind eye to it.
And stuff like that. Also, things like, I guess, fart jokes. Or something they try to stay away from, which was hard with Natalia's current gimmick. But I don't know why, but burping and farting, even when I was a kid, it's just... I don't know why people think it's funny, especially in real life. And I actually read WWE Kids Magazine for a bit. Well, I say read, I kind of...
You have a subscription, don't you?
You collect them, don't you?
Actually, I recently just stopped my subscription. Well, I got excited when it first came out because they said they're going to have comics in it. I don't know if you read it, but it was... they were just awful. It was like Matt and Jeff Hardy in space, like doing a swan.
That's where Jeff's been for a while.
Yeah, it's like Team Extreme in space, and it's like cat and dog, and I think their names were like Ring and Bell. Anyway, but hearing about it, I was kind of excited because I was like, oh, comics in a wrestling magazine. This is my shot, and then... I think that only lasted an issue, and I never canceled my subscription until now.
That's pretty sweet.
I can just imagine you're doing it like right now, because you're like, well, I better cut that out now. I don't want them making fun of me anymore. So you're like just during the interview typing it out and just canceling it online.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be sad.
Well, speaking of other comics, if you had to name any other webcomics that inspire you, which ones would you pick?
It probably sounds really obvious for a webcomic artist, but like Penny Arcade, which I think is just, I think it's one of the most read, popular webcomics. But that's one, and like The Gutters. Those are two comics that also appeal to kind of like a really focused audience. One's about video game news. The Gutters is about comic book news. And what I really like about those is not only do they make jokes about those subjects, but it also kind of like alerts people to little things they may have missed, or kind of serves as informational too. So when I saw those, that's what I really connected with. Is not only do you have to be a part of these subcultures, or at least have some interest in them to get the joke, but also might help you learn things that you haven't done before. So that's something I really try to do a lot of botch spots. I mean, not all of them. There's always exceptions.
Yeah.
Trying to stay focused and making sure it's something that only wrestling fans, like you have to be a wrestling fan to get, and might show people something, or maybe they just won't get it at all.
Well, that's what I was talking about when I was saying that you don't take the easy road. Like, for example, when Eric Young and ODB won the Knockouts tag titles, I on the show thought it was like the greatest thing ever. I'm like, oh, now we can have a whole mixed division in TNA, and it'd be really cool and compelling. And then I read your comic where you showed just like, well, women are finally respected in TNA, and that's why I moved here. And then it's just like, and now your new Knockouts Women's Tag Team Champion, Eric Young, and I'm like, shit, that is a really good point. And that's the thing that, like you were saying, like, it isn't just about poking fun or making the easy fart joke, that you are satirizing it in a way that is compelling, and it does open up new viewpoints. And unfortunately, I'm really glad that you were not on that show when I said that all I wanted was the mixed tag division.
Yeah, and that could be good too. It was just the whole way it was done with him pinning her like that. Like, actually, my wife walked by and was looking over my shoulder when I was drawing that, and she's like, looks like they're having sex. And I'm kind of like, well, that's how it looked on TV, so.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, really, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, speaking of your wife peeking in, what do you use to draw a botch spot? Because I know every artist has his own thing. I mean, do you use a Syntax, do you use a Wacom, or a Wacom, however you want to pronounce it?
Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce it either. I always pronounce it a Wacom Cintiq, but
yeah, that's how I pronounce it. But everybody has a different way to do it.
Yeah, that's what I use. And I started out traditionally, but quickly. But the thing is, I draw it all traditionally, but then scan it in and keep editing it in Photoshop until I realized, well, I should just do the whole thing digitally. And then eventually I moved from Photoshop to Manga Studio, but I still color it in Photoshop. But yeah, the Wacom Cintiq, and it's really great doing it digitally. It'd be hard to imagine going back. I think one of the advantages to doing it traditionally is then you can sell your pages, but I'm always a little leery about selling this too much since it's not at all. Or since it is completely copyrighted material. That.
Oh, you mean because it'd be basically you're kind of like making money off of the WWE and TNA's efforts. I mean, yeah, even though you are doing your own artwork and everything, without them, you got nothing. Is that where you're worried about? Yeah,
like, not that I really think that, Vince McMahon's going to be looking like, I wonder if this ain't wrestling webcomics. But if if that came about, it'd just take a letter from the lawyer to shut the whole thing down pretty much. But, yeah, so I try not to, now I lost my train of thought.
No, I mean, no, it's cool. Yeah, I can understand why you'd be a little leery about trying to earn money from this. I mean, that's one thing that we're always running into. I mean, we get money thrown at us all the time, and we're always like, stop backing the truck up. We don't want to attract too much attention here.
Yeah, we want to lay low.
Yeah, under the radar, because if anything, the WWE especially, their lawyers are just the nicest people in the world and are known for just, yeah, you want to share our stuff on YouTube? You're absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. Didn't we have a takedown notice for something because we actually said John Cena at some point?
Yeah, I had videotaped a guy who was dressed up like John Cena at a local pay-per-view being aired in a bar. And I put all the tags of the pay-per-view, and we was actually taken down for copyright infringement.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a takedown notice for that.
It was all based on keyword. That's the problem.
Yeah, but like I was telling you at the time, Joe, I mean, it wasn't like there was no lawyer. I mean, if it was either automated or it's some intern or paralegal that's just going through YouTube and just sending them out,
Oh, it's automated. It's definitely automated for the reporting. They're just looking at keywords and be like, oh. Because it was shortly before they decided to create a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
do you
speaking of things that are difficult, I gotta say, James, the Randy Orton jumble you put up on your site September 9th, 2011 was the bane of my existence for one word, and that's the last scramble word, and I had a hard time coming up with it for like 2 months. I don't know why. I got the final answer. I knew the final answer. I just couldn't figure out what that word was. Although I do like the fact that one of the Randy Orton-themed words was orange.
Yeah, it had to be. Was that mid-card?
Yes, it was mid-card.
You know, and I even got a comment on that one where they're like, mid-card, what's that have to do with Randy Orton? But now you look at WrestleMania.
Mid-card.
Mid-card, so
Yep.
that's a little... apologize. Actually, I was trying to think. I need the letters, whatever letters matched up in those circles, and I couldn't come up with anything other than mid-card. And then after I had posted, one of my friends was like, oh, you could use dramatic. But, it was too late, so...
Monotone? No. He's gotten that tone to him.
Good God, keep him away from the mic. Well, that's not one word.
Yeah.
Do you have any... Okay, so you got Botch Spot going, and it's fantastic. Don't change a thing. Do you have any inclination of branching out, even into print, or maybe doing, the stereotypical superhero comic, or are you going to cash in on the zombie craze that all the kids are going on about?
I have lots of ideas for other comics I'd like to do, but finding time is always kind of that's my biggest issue, is finding free time. And whenever I have free time to do art stuff on, it's usually, I just feel like I've got to focus it on Botch Spot, which is really putting all my eggs in one basket.
And you can listen to the whole interview with James Hornsby from Botch Spot on our YouTube channel tomorrow evening. That's youtube.com/TheFTW podcast. I want to thank James for sitting down with us. It was a lot of fun. And he's actually going to be back, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be back for episode 111, which isn't next week, but the week after. So if you want to say you were fans of James on the show before it was cool, listen to the interview. All right, you guys ready to do quick hits?
Quick hits it.
Quick hits. For those of you guys new to the show, each one of us is going to get 30 seconds to sound off on a news topic, and if there's time afterwards, we'll scream at each other for a little bit. All right, so this one comes from Jonathan from the Marks Facebook group, who asked, with Brock Lesnar returning last Monday, who is the one wrestler you wish would return full-time to WWE? Real quick, Bryan said, nobody. It's time to build new stars. Angry Cooter, which is awesome, said I was a fan of heel Batista, which is not awesome. And Credo said RVD, Kurt Angle, Austin would be perfect. And Jeff said Shelton Benjamin or Jamie Noble. I don't know who the hell that is. Joe, if you had to pick who would come back and return full-time, who would it be?
This is going to come out of left field. This one's going to be Matt Morgan. I didn't think he got a fair run in the WWE his first time around, and I would love to see what he can do at this point in the WWE. And if you don't know who Jamie Noble is, I should smack the shit out of you because Jamie Noble was awesome.
Rob, who would you pick?
WWE would not use Matt Morgan half as well as TNA is using him. I would pick nobody. I would start developing some of the younger talent that WWE has right now. I don't think they need to bring back any former WWE wrestler.
Okay. Garvin, who would you pick?
I want to be that dick that agrees with everyone. And, okay, first, I agree with Joe. Matt Morgan would be good. I do want to see that. Rob, how well do you think TNA is using Matt Morgan? Because he's not being used very well, in my opinion. But at the same time, I agree that I'd rather them build up. Because right now it looks like they don't have confidence in their talent, and they have a lot of good talent.
Okay. I'd like to see The Undertaker return to full-time to WWE. Vince McMahon would be pretty cool, too. Guys that we haven't seen in a while. That's just me. I have no interest in seeing anybody else come back that hasn't had a career there because, like Bryan said, new talent. New talent is the way to go.
Fine. Honorary mention, Shane O'Mac.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Shane McMahon. I could get behind that.
Shane O'Mac would be fantastic. Here comes the money. Chat is saying no, WWE would ruin Morgan like they tried to the first time. And they're also
Thank
saying,
you. The chat finally agrees with me.
And they're also saying Young Dragon. They're also saying Young Dragon. Which, wow, that is a reference that's a blast from the past. Patrick J. asked us, I know it's early to predict this, but do you feel that Medusa, Alundra Blayze, and Bull Nakano should be the next two women inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame? Now, the thing is, rumors suggest that part of Brock's deal involved with the part of Brock's deal to return involved the induction of Sable into the Hall of Fame. So first, do you see that Medusa or Bull Nakano would be the next one in, and do you think Sable deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? Joe?
Sable eventually, and I just had a name in my head of who would beat her out, and it's just ran away from me. God. Ivory. I think Ivory should be the next one to go in.
Huh. That's a good one. Rob, what do you think?
I could see Medusa getting in. Sable, I'm kind of with Joe on. Maybe eventually down the road, much, much farther down the road. Sable really, in my view, didn't do much and has kind of contributed to the decline of women's wrestling in WWE. I don't know. Has Trish Stratus been inducted into the Hall of Fame yet?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes?
I believe she has.
She has?
Okay. Because I would definitely make sure she goes in before
Oh,
Sable.
Yeah, hands
But,
down. Okay.
No,
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay, Garf.
I actually had to research Bull Nakano. I don't really remember her. And she only spent maybe a year in WWE. And maybe another year in WCW. So I don't really think that she did enough in those two organizations to really make a big name for herself. Medusa, no, for two reasons. One, she left on really horrible terms. And two, she continues to not really show favor towards WWE. So I don't really see her doing it. She probably deserves it because she was the champion for how long she was. But Sable, out of the three, I would give it to Sable for sure. But you also got to include Lita in that talk as well.
Yeah,
Ooh, good call.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm for Sable because she was really the first kind of like diva archetype. I mean, she is the Piltdown man of the diva division. She was the one that kind of set the stage for what would eventually happen. As far as women wrestling, I mean, I would honestly I'd rather see Medusa over Bull Nakano because remember Medusa won the WCW Cruiserweight title. So
Right.
that did happen, which is kind of cool. So yeah, maybe she deserves it. I don't know. I mean, we could just sit here all night and we could just lay down. I mean, Lita, chat saying Molly Holly, that's a great one, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. We could lay down a ton of women that we would put before these three, is what we're saying. But if I had to pick these three, I'd lean for Medusa because, yeah, I think the Cruiserweight thing's a big thing. Oh, and chat's saying they remember Bull Nakano versus Alundra Blayze at WrestleMania 10. It was a great match. I think we actually talked about it in our WrestleMania recap. Scott also asked us, they need to do something different with Albert. I'm sorry. They need to do something different with Albert, or this is done before it can start. Do you agree? He's talking about Tensei. And RKO Voices on Twitter asked who would win, Tensei versus I'm going to murder all these names. Tensai versus Tajiri versus Yoshi versus Funaka versus Taka. Boom! Joe.
Oh, wow.
Made it
I think MVP is going to win out of all of them. I could see Tensei versus Funaki versus Taka would be pretty sweet. You know what? Funaki versus Taka, just because they were former tag team partners. I miss Taka and Mikinochu. I really do. I think he's probably my favorite out of the entire group. So I'm going to say he wins.
Okay. Rob.
Tajiri wins. Buzzsaw kicks to the back of the head all night long. Outside of that, with Scott's comment, I don't know. I think the Lord Tensei thing could work, but it's going to be a hard sell. They really have to do something to add depth to the gimmick.
They could, though. I didn't mean to not touch on that, but I think they really could, Rob. I think that this is going to be the first time they really pull off the Japanese character, and they could do it well using a non-Japanese guy. You know, sorry Yoshitatsu, but you couldn't get the gimmick done.
Yeah.
Okay. Garvin.
It's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks. How are we already complaining that he's not going to go anywhere after 2 weeks? I'm sorry, Scott, but I completely disagree. I think we need to give him a little bit more time. He's not bad in the ring. I mean, he looks pretty decent. It just you're expecting squash matches, and although he's doing squash matches, they're going a little bit longer. He's ending both the matches that he had in like a technical knockout ref ending type thing, which is new. I mean, we haven't seen that in a while. So I think they're doing good. Tajiri would win.
Thank you,
Garvin, you ignorant slut. Yeah, it's been 2 weeks that he's been in the ring, but we have video package before that, and dude, the crowd is dead. I mean, this is a non-starter. The guy, they went too different, too fast with him. He should have came out, done the Goldberg thing, come out, do his thing, just blast the guy, beat him up in the ring. The matches should be no longer than a minute and a half. Get it done and over with. I mean, the thing with Sin Cara kind of set a pretty high bar because they did the light thing. He ran down the ring. They had a they had a treadmill, had a trampoline. There was a lot of production value involved. You're not getting that with Tensai. You're getting this weird Japanese music that's kind of like, all right, this isn't very exciting. He comes out to house lights. He walks down to the ring. He beats up the other guy who is, 9 times out of 10, someone that we haven't seen since the last episode of Superstars. And then he hits him with salt. Tajiri would totally win that 4-way.
You're forgetting, though, that the reason they had a trampoline for Sin Cara is because he couldn't hit his stunt of jumping from the floor over the rope by himself.
But he was soaring through the air, Rob. You didn't...
Yeah, I mean, okay, let's take one step back here. Sin Cara, no human being can make that jump.
That's not the point.
They should have advertised it as if he could.
The trampoline is fine when they were hiding it. They got a little hornswoggle type guy down there to pull the trampoline back underneath the ring. That's okay.
How would you like that for your job description? I'm the
trampoline puller?
No, I'm the trampoline technician. Trampoline management technician.
Yeah.
So that's the guy who supervises the guy who pulls the trampoline.
By the way,
it's a union job.
We are talking about wrestling, and wrestling doesn't have to be 100% believable.
Right. I mean, the Lord Tensai thing works, I think, because it's a simple entrance. The one guy coming out, throwing up the salt, and that's it.
But there's nothing exciting about it. It's if you are complete.
Go over to Japan and look at
Yeah. It works great in Japan. You know what's cool about Japan? They go there, they sit quietly, and they enjoy the show. That's why WWE doesn't tour there, because it doesn't look good on camera. You don't have the rowdy crowds waving the signs, waving shit, and going, "Oh my God, this is so awesome! I had so much Bud Light before I got here."
I like it. I like the gimmick.
He looks fantastic. The gimmick's great. It's dead. It's just nothing's happening. Pyro, give him Kane's entrance. Do something with it where you make it. This is Tensai. Fuck yeah, Tensai is here.
No. You let him reprove himself to the crowd. Then you start adding that shit.
Yeah. You need a magnificent entrance to be a quality wrestler.
No, you need a magnificent entrance if you're not going to actually wrestle.
By the way, Diva Jill in the chat, she says, so Harrison wants them to do with Tensai what he complains about them doing with Brodus Clay.
What do you think about Brodus Clay's entrance?
The whole thing where he just does squash matches. That's what you want to see is Tensai doing squash matches. We saw that with Brodus Clay and everyone complained about it.
The reason that Brodus Clay works is because they're doing the squash matches, but it's the ring entrance that you're tuning into. They got to get the crowd excited for Tensai. You got to think this is a big freaking deal. Right now,
they're going to. I'm sorry, but he's like he's just a train on the tracks, just barreling down the road.
Personally,
sure, and the crowd is totally into it. I've heard more cheers for a Divas match.
I don't care about
mid-card Divas match.
I kind of like Tensei's gimmick so far, and I think as long as you're going to have him doing the samurai gimmick, you have to be really careful with what you do, because
first Rob, no, cultural sensitivity is out the window when the guy is not Japanese.
Hey Harrison, mid-card Divas match is very redundant.
Okay, well,
yeah, pretty much.
That's the point. That's how dead the crowd is.
We should move on.
They're doing it in a morgue. TNA Lockdown is coming up this weekend, and to all points and purposes, it's looking like it's going to be a great show. I think we can stop. If Lockdown, I got to be honest, if Lockdown goes well, which I think it will, we can honestly stop grading it on a curve. we always say it's good for a TNA show. I really think this is showcasing to be TNA is just going to be good. We don't have to say for a TNA show. Anyway, first up on the match, you're going to hear this a lot tonight. Steel cage match for the TNA TV Championship. Devon versus Robbie E. Here we go. Season 2 of the pay-per-view predictions. What's everyone taking?
I'm going with Devon.
You're going with Devon. Rob is saying Devon retains.
I am following the champion.
That's probably a good idea. Let's draft Rob until the end and then pass him. Yeah, they just gave Devon the title. They're not taking it off of him. Garvin, you could disagree?
No, I think the title will stay on Devon. I find it kind of ironic, though, that the TV title hasn't been on TV yet.
Yeah, no, it was on 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
No.
One match.
The TNA TV title has not been on TV since the last pay-per-view when Devon won it from Robbie E in the Robbie E Invitational Challenge or whatever the fuck he called it.
Okay, so maybe TV means pay-per-view.
Apparently.
Matt Morgan versus Crimson and gasp, a steel cage match. Steve G on Facebook said, Matt Morgan versus Crimson at Lockdown. Will this be another letdown? And I'm really hopeful it isn't, because Morgan and Crimson, it's just a recipe for awesome, but I don't know. I mean, it's like, if any match has a chance to be a real letdown, it's this one.
I think it's going to be a letdown. And I'm going to go with Crimson on this one.
Joe's going with Crimson. Rob?
I'm gonna follow that and go with Crimson because I think it's too early to end the feud. And if you have Matt Morgan win at the pay-per-view, it essentially ends the feud.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Garv?
Well, it not only ends the feud, but it would end the streak.
Oh, yeah, and we can't have the Goldberg-esque streak end just yet.
I'm sure they're doing something with it. They just haven't necessarily explained it yet. Yeah, I would love to see Matt Morgan win. I think he deserves it.
Oh, he definitely deserves it.
You know what? Let's start off this season right. I'm gonna go against Rob. I'm gonna go with Matt Morgan. I'm gonna go with my heart here, and
that means Crimson is a lock, basically.
Yeah, Crimson will probably win, but I'd rather see Matt Morgan win, so I'm gonna go with him.
All right, that's fair. When do you think we're gonna have the Crimson knockoff show up in WWE? What would we call them? Crimson?
What do you call the Crimson knockoff? I mean, we had Gilbert.
Gotta add another I. Crimson.
Sage.
He's very similar to Randy Orton in that he can't do a promo and he's really skinny.
That's true. That's true. Crimson might be a mockery of
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton.
How meta would that be? God, you're right. He is shit on the mic. Jeff Hardy versus Kurt Angle in a steel cage match. This is going to be. Although chat's saying Morgan ending the streak would help build the feud, not end it. I don't know. I think right now this streak is bigger than the feud.
At the moment, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, most of the people in the chat are saying Crimson anyway. I can't believe why aren't you people watching SmackDown? I appreciate that you're listening to our show, but why aren't you watching? Are you watching on mute? I bet they're all watching it on mute. Jeff Hardy versus Kurt Angle in the steel cage match. None of us want to see. Who's taking who in this travesty?
Just to say, they're probably listening to us on mute. What? I don't know, but I think I'm going to go with Kurt Angle in this one.
Yeah,
it's not a cage match. I think I'm going to go with Kurt Angle on this one.
All right, Joe's
there's no swanton off the top.
Yeah, I'm going with Angle too. Rob, are you taking Angle or Hardy?
I'm going to take Angle as well, just because I have no desire to see Jeff Hardy win.
I don't think anybody else does. Garv, do you?
Well, just to clarify, Joe, you said that it's not a steel cage because I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh, I'm looking at our doc and it says
steel cage match.
It does
right
not.
There.
Yeah, it does right there.
Oh, I thought. Oh, underneath. Okay. Usually that's in bold before the match.
Just so everyone's clear, every single match is inside the steel cage at Lockdown.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm retarded. So
no, it's okay. It's just it's one of the main gimmicks of the Lockdown pay-per-view. It's fine.
You know what? I'm going to stick with Kurt Angle.
You know, at TLC they're going to
see the moon. We're going to see the moonsault off the top of the cage because Kurt Angle does it every time he's in a cage match.
Yeah, because that's the only way his body can reach full rotation is if he's that high.
So how did I get 2 votes for Kurt Angle? That's what I want to know.
Because you are adamant.
Okay.
There's a typo. Hit the wrong button.
I am speculating that Kurt Angle goes for the moonsault, misses it. Jeff Hardy gets to the top of the cage, goes to the swanton, and misses it.
And breaks his back.
Yes. Gail Kim versus Velvet Sky.
I haven't voted on this
Yeah,
match.
you did. You said it was Kurt Angle.
No, I said it was explained as a steel cage match.
Oh, sorry.
My vote is Jeff Hardy.
You
only
are
because I am not, actually. And I have voted against Jeff Hardy for like the last 3 pay-per-views, and he's lost every time. So he's got to have a win here, and at least it's not for the title. So I'm going to go with Jeff Hardy.
You're playing the rule of math?
Probability.
You can't lose them all.
He's got to win sometime, man.
Awesome. Yeah, steel cage match. All right, so Gail Kim versus Velvet Sky for the TNA Women's Night. It's Velvet Sky. I mean, they've been building it. It's got to happen. They got to get the belt off Gail Kim. Who's taking who? I'm taking Sky.
I'm taking Velvet Sky.
And not because of my ridiculously fanboyish crush either, but yeah. Because they've been building for it pretty well. Joe, Garf?
Dude, the pigeons are going to be let loose.
I die a little inside every time.
Oh, she's got great pigeons.
Just that he says it, it's like, God damn, it's worse than what was it? What was the thing that King always said? Puppies. God, that was your.
I was expecting a puppy yell on Raw because King was hitting all the old Attitude Era cylinders. He was just firing, and it was awesome.
Ugh. Garv?
Yeah, I gotta go with Velvet Sky.
Yeah.
Gail Kim has held the title for too long, but I also would like a bonus point if they actually use the cage this time.
Oh, if they actually, instead of just staying in the ring, Garv gets bonus point if they acknowledge that there's a cage.
Yes.
Fair enough. Magnus and Samoa Joe versus the Motor City Machine Guns for the cage match for the TNA World Tag Team Championship. All right, here's the thing. This is the toss-up one. RKO Voices on Twitter said, do you see the Motor City Machine Guns picking the titles away from Joe Magnus? If so, how long will they hold on to him? Mr. Lucha Libre on Twitter, looking forward to the tag title match. It begs the question, though. That's incorrect use of that phrase. But anyway, where do they go here with such a limited division? Here's the thing. This is a toss-up to me. Motor City Machine Guns are on a tear, and they look fantastic, but they just came back.
And they've been on a tear, but they just came back.
They look fantastic, is what I'm saying.
All right, guys. Here's the thing. I think they're going to look fantastic in this match, but I think Magnus and Samoa Joe are going to pull off the win. But it's going to escalate. It's going to become a nice feud between these two teams.
Yeah,
I'm with Joe. Magnus and Samoa Joe retain, and these two have a great feud.
Agreed.
Okay, cool. Now, it'll be fantastic. All right, here is the big Survivor Series match. The Lethal Lockdown match. Team Eric versus Team Garrett. Wow, that's not going to get confusing. Bischoff, Gunner, Bully Ray Daniels, and Kaz with Ric Flair versus Garrett, AJ Styles, Aries, Anderson, and RVD. If Team Eric wins, Garrett's got to leave TNA. If Garrett wins, Eric must leave TNA and renounce his name. So, and all else fails, the fans win. Who are you taking, Bischoff or Bischoff?
I think I'm going to take Dixie. No, I think that this one is going to go to Eric Bischoff.
You're saying Eric. Rob?
I'm going to take Team Garrett.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking? That they're more likely to get Eric off the camera than they are Garrett?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Of the two, they can get Eric out of camera. Garth, what do you think?
Yeah, and they've been doing that sort of. They've pulled Eric off of most of his camera duties. I mean, this is his only storyline right now. So and plus that would add a lot of credibility to Hogan's, as a face GM if he's the one that is able to fire them. So, or fire him rather. So yeah, I say Garrett wins, but really what I'm hoping for is a double countout, so they're both gone.
If anything, TNA's fan of on the pay-per-view, it's a double count out. Mr. Lucha Libre on Twitter. Dude, this guy's going to become our number one fan. Could it be that Aries' push towards the main event, i.e. the Bully Ray feud, is the result of a thin X Division roster?
I think so. I mean, Aries has beaten everybody in the X Division at least twice. Sorensen's injury certainly hasn't helped matters much.
Nope.
I think
Crimson Matt Morgan.
I think you can make Crimson was an X Division.
Oh,
anyway.
I remember Robbie E. Sorry, I remember Robbie E. This feud with Dagon. I'm checking the chat. Or not the chat.
I think you can make a strong argument that there's really no competition for Austin Aries in the X Division at the moment.
Okay.
Thus, they're looking for other things to do with him.
And I think the return of the Motor City Machine Guns we're going to see a bigger push towards tag division is going to be the more prominent thing right now instead of the X Division, which is great. Garth, you need to clarify something? What's up?
Yeah. What I forgot to make a note of, I actually pulled all of those names in this match from Wikipedia. So it hasn't really been made official that all of those people are going to be in that match. Just to clarify that, the live chat was talking about, is RVD seriously still in TNA? That's just the rumor right now. But either way, I mean, so going the way we're going.
Yeah, sorry about that. We got to put those spoiler alert things at the beginning. All right, and the last match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, Bobby Roode versus James Storm. Do you think this is when James Storm takes it off of Roode?
Yeah, James Storm all the way.
Yeah, I'm with you, Rob.
They're in Nashville, Tennessee.
It's perfect.
It's the perfect spot to have James Storm finally win.
Awesome. Yep, that's where I'm at too.
Garvin?
Man,
he's going to go with
Roode. Come on. Really? They're in Nashville. You're talking about a great way to close out Lockdown and be absolutely pumped for Impact. It's James Storm holding the belt, hanging on in the cage with the fans going bullshit crazy.
Yeah, I think if TNA is going to turn the corner, they're going to have to give the fans what they want at the end of at least one pay-per-view. I'm going to go with James Storm.
Yeah, this one is a total lock. Oh, damn it. Lockdown. All right, anyway. Now it's time for the undercard. We only have one thing in the undercard, and that is that TNA and Spike TV re-up their contract, which is good, because no longer will we hear the TNA is being canceled rumors. Nah.
Bullshit. We're still going to hear them.
Yeah. God, I'm so sick of those. Basically, or at least we shouldn't. And do want to point out that if they could just get a better lead-in than jail, things would be so much better for them. I got to be genuinely surprised if this contract goes longer than 3 years. I think it's a mistake on TNA's part. They are really outgrowing Spike TV. I mean, they are starting to become one of the biggest TV shows. If not, I mean, they're the biggest thing on Thursday nights for Spike. And in Spike's demographic of stations, TNA pulls in consistently good numbers, and it's starting to become they're going to become Spike's biggest show. And it's going to be like, it seems like the biggest thing holding TNA back right now is the fact that they're on Spike and they're not on a better network.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, we were talking about this when we brought up the last rumor about TNA being canceled or everything. TNA's bringing in like 1 million people a week, guaranteed. In a good demographic. It's not old people watching Murder, She Wrote. Right.
They're us with money.
Right. I mean, these are the kind of numbers that TNA can approach other cable channels with and get some interest. Right now, the biggest thing that helps TNA out with Spike, with staying on Spike, is that Spike gives them slightly more leeway language-wise than other networks would.
Yeah, there is helpful being the senior on the football team. You do get a little bit of play that you can kind of bend the rules a little bit, so yeah. All right, so want everyone to know that FTW Draft Season 2 starts next week. Because of the interview and everything, we're running a little low on the show, so we're going to start it next week. We will have information on our website in the next 2 days on ftwpodcast.com/draft. Hear that, Garvin? We will have information on our website in the next 2 days on how to do it. The draft will be live on the website, so stay tuned for that. It's out there. It's on you, buddy. You can find the James Hornsby interview once again on our YouTube page at youtube.com/the FTW podcast later this week, probably tomorrow or the day after. All right, who's ready for some win-fail?
Win-fail.
Let's do it.
Win-fail.
Women wrestlers aren't getting paid? Why do you do a job?
Here is your win.
You do any job,
And fail
is to fucking get paid!
of the week.
Joe, your win of the week. Go, Joe.
My win of the week is the guns coming back. Gotta love the guns. You just got it. It's awesome.
Rob, your win of the week.
My win of the week had to be the opening to Raw. Cena slapping Lesnar popping him in the mouth and just starting the bleeding contest going.
Cool. Garvin, your win of the week.
My win of the week goes to everyone who's in the live chat who decided not to watch SmackDown this week with us. We'll watch it with you on Friday, everyone.
All right, my word of the week is I discovered Nutella last night. It was awesome. So if you get a chance, definitely go to the grocery store and buy Nutella. It's fantastic. Anyway, if you watched, the Lesnar thing, the promo video they played when he was out there, they actually used the video of the weedy guy that they had last week in the Ed Hardy shirt that was imitating Lesnar, and we made fun of him last week. They actually used him in the video promo, and I laughed so hard when I saw that. I'm like, it's Miz Girl 2.0. This is awesome.
Oh yeah, there was a couple of guys they used and that are just cracked me up.
But at the same time, it's like, that's really, if you were in that situation, you'd be doing it too. I know I would.
Oh, we'd all be marking out.
Oh yeah, hands down. It's just like, yeah. All right. Fails of the week. Win of the week from the chat is Raw opening or just the entire amazing Impact. Pretty good. Billy Kidman getting TV time. Okay. All right. Fails of the week. Joe, your fail of the week.
The fact that they had to do the no DQ match between Randy Orton and Kane to let Randy Orton win.
Okay. That was a good point. It sucked, hands down.
Should have ended at Mania.
Yeah, exactly. Rob, your fail of the week. Go.
My fail of the week goes to Raw for not capitalizing on their awesome opening.
Okay. One more that can be said that we haven't already said. Garvin, your fail of the week.
My fail of the week goes to how WWE handled the Yoshitatsu versus Lord Tensai thing. That actually started on Twitter, where Yoshitatsu was basically complaining because they were building up this Japanese character and he wasn't even Japanese, and Yoshi's Japanese and he should have had that spot. So I think that would have been a lot better if they gave them more time to build it up into like an actual feud. Instead, they just kind of buried Yoshi, and I was really hoping that they would do something different and better with it. So that's my fail of the week.
Not only did they bury him, they referenced it during the show while he was getting smushed by Tensai. They actually said, and to think that Tatsu's been complaining on YouTube or on Twitter. Well, you get what you pay for. I mean, it was like, oh my god. It's like, dude, you guys sound like assholes. My fail is the whole Three Stooges thing on Raw was awful. It was just awful. The fact that they're remaking the Three Stooges at all is terrible. But
props to them though on getting Will Sasso to be Curly, because Will Sasso is amazing. There was an episode of Mad TV where he actually was imitating WWE wrestlers. His imitation of Triple H is hands down the best ever.
Yeah,
spot on. He's like Jay Lethal on Flair or Savage. Damn good.
Yeah, his Hulk Hogan impression was really good. It was just, in any other context, this would have been awesome, except it was just bundled in this thing of fail. And it was like, when he came out and I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be fantastic. And he comes out and he does a great Hulk Hogan impression. The problem is, the rest of the segment, the whole thing sucked. I mean, you know.
But did you realize that the guy who playing Larry was the guy who played Jack, the flamboyant guy from Will and Grace?
Yes, I did notice that.
I didn't, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, how about that? And I have no idea who's playing Mo. I don't know who that guy is. It's just maybe just that's.
He's just a guy.
Yeah, he's just a guy. I'm a big fan of the original Three Stooges. The movie I don't care because it was such a but the Hogan impression was pretty good. But it was just bundled in this thing of fail. From the chat, yes, Jericho's beer choice, yes. Oh yes, that was terrible.
What was it? I'm sorry.
Old Milwaukee, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Old Milwaukee. That shit is awful. I don't care if Will Ferrell likes it. That shit is terrible.
I couldn't really tell. I thought it was like Stella whatever, how you ever pronounce
Stella Artois? No.
Yeah. But in can form.
Belgian Becks. Oh, God. I love how they're trying to make it sound like the champagne of beer when it's actually just basically just, ugh. Anyway.
About High Life?
Oh, don't even start with me, Joe. Or Garvin. Anyway, Otunga's oil, like Joe talked about earlier. Fill of the week was WWE Creative dropping the ball over and over and over again. WWE Universe has to always pick it up. You can tell that's kind of happening with Daniel Bryan. And the other one in the chat is they agree with me, the Three Stooges. Thank you, chat. As always, you can find this episode as well as our entire archive at ftwpodcast.com, facebook.com/ftwpodcast, twitter.com/ftwpodcast, youtube.com/the ftwpodcast. Voicemail us at 313-444-FTW4. That's 313-444-3894. You can send us questions, 2 questions, at ftwpodcast.com. Rate us on iTunes and then go to our website and buy a shirt. A few things brewing behind the scenes. We got a bunch of really cool people coming up in the upcoming shows to fill in Kevin's spot while he's on maternity leave. We're going to have James Hornsby from that we did the interview with. He's going to be coming out in 2 weeks. Can we announce who we're having next week? Is that confirmed?
Still working out the details, but it is a previous guest.
Okay. A potential previous guest that we've had on the show will be back. Wow, that's terrible. Okay, anyway, it's going to be...
Okay, it's Kevin. No, I'm kidding.
It's going to be awesome. It's one of, hands down, our favorite people to have on the show. And he's going to be back. It's not Scott. We'll just put that out there. And without anything else, let's just get the hell out of here and go watch the last 30 minutes of SmackDown.
Actually, I got one more thing. Speaking of Will Sasso, there's a clip on the Marks Facebook group. I just posted a link in the live chat, so everyone's there. Otherwise, it's facebook.com/groups/pro wrestling marks. Will Sasso versus Steve Austin on Raw a few years back. So definitely worth checking out. Thanks, everyone in the live chat. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much, live chat. You guys rock, consistently rock. All right, let's get the hell out of here. See you next Tuesday. Boom, I got to say it. Yay.